And the governor has just started his news conference. Let's listen in.
Enhance their own safety over the course of the next few days. First, the power grid. The power grid is performing very well at this time. I'm going to be making reference to this graph and this graph at this time. This graph right here shows expected power demand for about the next 24 hours for the remainder of today and early tomorrow. It shows that the power generation capacity that is expected and a breakdown of the source of that power, whether it be wind, solar, or thermal. It shows that there is plenty of power available at this time, as well as plenty of power expected over the remainder of today and early tomorrow. At the expected peak demand, not just tomorrow, but in this entire winter storm event, at the expected peak demand, there should be about 10,000 megawatts of extra power capacity. To put that in context, that is about enough extra power to supply about 2 million homes. The second graph, this one over here, that shows the current demand for power in Texas at this time. That would be the bottom line, which is kind of the teal or green colored line. It also shows the current available capacity of power from the grid at this time, and that's the top line. It shows that there is about a 20,000 megawatts of extra power over current demand. Now, very importantly, even though at this time we have an extraordinary amount of extra supply of power, at this time there are about 70,000 customers in Texas without power. So how can that be that there are people in the state of Texas without power if the grid is fully functioning and has ample power supply? The reason is because of issues with local power providers. The most probable cause of a power outage right now around the state of Texas for anybody who's without power is either because of heavy winds affected lines or more likely because of an icing condition where ice itself could have brought down power lines, or ice could have weighed down on trees or tree limbs that would have brought down a power line. Anyone out of power at this time should call their local power provider. If you do not know how to get a hold of your local power provider, I'm going to give you a website address that you could use to contact your local power provider. Go to puc.texas.gov/storm. If anybody needs access to try to find the phone number of the power provider to call because your power is out, you can go to puc.texas.gov/storm. Now, to address the down lines, or for whatever reason why local power providers are not able to provide power to your house at this particular time, I want you to know that local power providers are bringing in extra resources to get those power lines back up, and the state of Texas is helping them. There are more than 10,000 linemen already working for power transmission companies to assist with power lines that are not working. And in addition to that, almost 2,000 more linemen are coming in from outside the state of Texas. To expedite the repair trucks that are needed that are coming in from outside of the state, I am issuing a proclamation that authorizes the Texas Department of Public Safety to waive some regulations that will allow them, those repair trucks, to get into the state faster and easier. Also, to help local jurisdictions, local governments, rapidly respond with the tools and resources they need, I am at this moment issuing a proclamation for all counties most heavily affected by the ice storm at this particular time. They are listed in this proclamation that I'm about to sign, and they include 17 counties across the state of Texas. So this proclamation is now in effect for those 17 counties, but we know that over the course of the remainder of the winter storm, there may be additional counties that will need to be added because of conditions on the grounds in those counties, in which case we will be supplementing this proclamation to include those additional counties. Now, in addition to the forecasts that ERCOT and the PUC are relying upon, there are other reasons to provide confidence in the ongoing resiliency of the power grid. One is that, as compared to last year, Texas has about 15% more power generation capacity. There is also more reserve power available than last year. Unlike last year, winterization has been required for power generators, and there's been about 99% of those power generators passed inspection. Last year, some generators were not available because of maintenance operations during the course of the winter storm. This year, more generators are online because they were required to do maintenance either before or after a winter season. Also, more natural gas facilities are designated as critical infrastructure to ensure operation during a winter storm. Last year, less than 100 facilities were designated as critical infrastructure. As of now, more than 2,900 of those facilities are designated as critical infrastructure. Also, unlike last year, some generators that use natural gas also have alternative fuels to generate power in the event they are not receiving the natural gas that they were expecting or needed. Also, if weather limits the flow of natural gas, we have several days of natural gas in storage that can be used. Additionally, the grid is projected to have a surplus of more than 10,000 megawatts for peak power demand tomorrow morning on Friday morning, which we expect to be the peak of demand for the winter storm. In short, to repeat what the chairman of the PUC has said, the Texas electric grid is the most reliable and resilient that it's ever been. Now, there are more than 24 state agencies that are working 24/7 to help respond to the winter storm. And all of the agencies that are seated at the table will be making presentations about what they are doing. I'm going to cover those, some of those that are not at the table right now. One is the Texas Military Department, which includes the Texas National Guard. They currently have deployed at least 127 personnel and 52 vehicles and will add more as needed. They have 5 winter weather mission-ready packages staged in Abilene, Wichita Falls, Lubbock, Brownwood. That one's going to be moving, I think, to Wiley, as well as in Round Rock. Winter weather packages are comprised of 18 personnel, Humvees, wreckers, and ambulances. TMD also has assigned a military district coordinator to Garland to coordinate Texas military resources in the North Texas region. The Texas Military Department has a battalion of mission command staged in Lubbock, and they have additional resources that can be deployed as needed. As one example, they have been involved in assisting motorists on Interstate 20, mile marker 220, which is near the Abilene area. The Texas A&M Forest Service is currently supporting TxDOT, as well as the Texas Division of Emergency Management, with winter weather response with personnel and equipment assigned to San Angelo, Abilene, Amarillo, Brownwood, and Sherman. Texas Parks and Wildlife, they are prepared to support with 4x4 vehicles as well as personnel statewide. 2 things about what they're involved in doing in more detail. They have assisted the Texas Department of Public Safety and the Texas Department of Transportation with motorists in the Wichita Falls area. Additionally, they will be announcing later on today that some state parks will be closed for a short period of time as we work our way through the winter storm, but that will be an announcement coming from the Texas Parks and Wildlife later on today. The Texas Animal Health Commission is now activated at the State Operations Center right here and is coordinating with animal response partners at both state and local levels. Currently, they are working on potential hay and feed or other livestock-related support following the storm. All partners have indicated right now no unmet needs, but are working to prepare for anticipated issues. The Texas Animal Health Commission staff remain on standby for response for any animal issues that may arise. The Texas Department of State Health Services is coordinating with hospital preparedness providers on resource needs such as potential power outages, water issues, medical staff surge, or overnight lodging. They have put 3 emergency medical task force severe weather packages into the field, as well as 2 additional ambulances on standby to cover affected regions. Already, they have delivered more than 100 oxygen tanks in the Austin area in the event that they are going to be needed, and stand ready to make deliveries of oxygen tanks to any affected region where there is demand. With that, I am going to turn it over to Peter Lake, the Chair of the Public Utilities Commission.
Thank you, Governor. As expected, we have received reports of local outages from across the state due to icing on power lines and ice weighing down tree branches and trees. We are working closely with transmission companies across the state to ensure they deploy the resources needed to restore power as soon as possible. We have worked with them also to ensure that crews were pre-positioned before the cold weather set in to address these outages as quickly as possible. If you are experiencing a power outage, please report it to your local provider, and please check puc.texas.gov/storm for information about outages in your area and for information about contacting your local provider. I'd like to thank our partners at TxDOT for working closely with these transmission companies to ensure that the necessary roads are cleared so that crews can get to the necessary equipment to restore power as quickly as possible. It's important to understand that these are localized outages that are not related to system-wide reliability issues, as you can see on the screen behind us. The grid remains strong, reliable, and it is performing well in this winter weather event. In addition, we will continue implementing the robust reforms passed in these last few months. Unlike last year, we will be operating the grid in a much more conservative approach with a bigger margin of safety of reserves and an abundance of caution. Most importantly, our generators and power lines are now weatherized to not only meet but exceed federal standards. We have worked closely with our partners at the Railroad Commission to ensure that critical infrastructure on our natural gas supply chain is identified and protected in the event of any emergency situation, that to ensure that they continue to receive power so natural gas continues to flow to our generators. In addition, the market reforms implemented in ERCOT are ensuring that our generators have additional fuel on site and accessible, as the Governor mentioned earlier. Unlike in the past, they are able to economically procure this fuel, keep it on site, and be sure they have redundancy in weather events like this. These generators have pre-positioned crews, much like our transmission companies have, so that if there are operational problems at a generator, those can be addressed quickly. We will continue to work with our partners at our fellow state agencies to ensure localized outages are addressed quickly. The grid is strong, is reliable, and is performing well in this winter weather event. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Brad Jones, the CEO of ERCOT.
Thank you, Governor. As we've indicated in the past, we continue to operate the electric grid in an extremely conservative manner. We are bringing on more resources, having those resources available early, making sure that they're stabilized to continue to provide reliable service to the grid. That goes for our forecast as well. As you see behind us, our forecast has increased since yesterday by about 3,000 megawatts. Similarly, our wind expectations have also increased. The reason for the wind expectations to increase is that we had been forecasting a significant level of icing in the western part of our state. That has not occurred as severely as we expected, and so our wind forecast now is much higher than it was previously. In addition, we've been working on communications throughout the entire industry, talking to each of our industry partners, working with the state, but also working with every part of our industry, generators, transmission distribution providers, to make sure that we are communicating sufficiently and accurately across all of those different forums. We recently contacted the TCEQ yesterday morning to ask for enforcement discretion. I know that the TCEQ will talk about that as well, but that has already been granted. In addition, we have not seen any of our generation come offline for cold weather situation, which is indication that our weatherization program is working as we had hoped. Finally, I would like to again reiterate that we have been operating in an extremely conservative manner. We have a high degree of confidence in our grid. We feel very comfortable in our current situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Commissioner Craddock with the Texas Railroad Commission.
Thank you, Governor. The Railroad Commission has been conducting daily operational calls since Monday with the 3 major natural gas providers, or your gas utilities, that serve approximately 97% of the residential customers in the state. They don't anticipate any service interruptions to the residential customers, so your gas should stay on, you should have heat, you should be able to cook, and they have additional support crews available if any issues arise. If you have an issue, please call your local provider if you have any outages. Since last fall, the Railroad Commission has conducted over 4,000 weatherization site visits, including 100% of our intrastate underground storage has been inspected. Prior to this event, the natural gas pipelines packed their pipelines and underground storage at near capacity. Operators have transitioned to 24-hour operations and suspended all scheduled maintenance. This morning, we confirmed at our operator briefing with approximately 100 operators, including production and pipelines, that operations are continuing as usual and they are prepared for the current weather conditions. Fluctuations in production are in the normal range. We want to thank TxDOT and the local counties to make sure our roads are continuing to be open and get cleared. We do have some challenges with roadways that are isolated and regional. Mostly the Permian Basin operators, though, are reporting that they are not having problems getting people to sites. Again, we have line pack and storage are in good condition, and the gas is flowing.
Thank you very much. Next is Toby Becker, the Executive Director for the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality.
Thank you, Governor. I'll start by just piggybacking off of what Brad said, that yes, we did grant enforcement discretion as of 6 p.m. Last night, but what I'd like to talk about today is water systems. We are monitoring water systems across the state closely. At this point, we have no significant reported issues, and we've not received any notifications of boil water notices related to Winter Storm Landon at this point. However, it's cold outside and water lines freeze when it gets cold outside, so we do expect that we have some frozen pipes across the state. Frozen pipes can lead to line breakage, which can lead to a loss of pressure, which ultimately could lead to a boil water notice, and that's the main reason why we see boil water notices. So there are 3 things I'd like to ask Texans to do to prepare for this. Number 1, I'm encouraging you to closely follow your water provider. They're going to let you know what the status of your system is and whether you're under a boil water notice. 2, if you see a pipe break in the street that's not in your yard or in your house, report it to your provider immediately. It will help them, and it'll help your utility get out there quickly to fix that and keep the pressure up in the system. The next would be if you have a pipe break in your wall or in your yard, so on your side of the meter, go and turn the water off at the street so you don't bleed the pressure out of the utility system. And then finally, we have a link on our website with a video on how to turn your water off. Our website is www.tceq.texas.gov. If you go there to the Winter Storm Landon page, there's a video that will show you the different ways to turn the water off if you have a line break in your house, and that will help your local utility keep the pressure up. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you. Next is Mark Williams.
Well, we've been listening to Governor Abbott along with other state officials giving us an update right now on this winter storm live from Austin. They're giving some more remarks there, but we're going to go ahead and cut out now. I'll let you know again, the summary here, the big headline seems to be that the power grid in the state of Texas is doing well. We heard that message several times from officials there at that news conference, that it is performing well. And as a matter of fact, they have secured a lot more energy than is needed, and they're holding that for the peak hours, which is expected to be tomorrow morning, Karen.
Exactly, and they do believe that we're going to have far more than we need even at the peak, which is good news. Now, this news conference will continue on our streaming site, CBS News, Dallas, Fort Worth. Again, this is of First Alert Weather Day. We are going to continue to monitor the conditions and keep you updated.